Yeah, so I guess the takeaway is deal with the Nocturne first, because we literally can't see anything behind that paranoia right now. It's clouding our vision here on the analyst desk as well. We're in the dark, and we are into the drafts once again. Gamers for God on the blue side at JVL. They might not have hit miracle status yet, but they have heard your prayers. Nocturne made it onto the ban list.
It's great. It's already going better here in game 3. Now, I'm curious what the first pick was, because Ezreal was the first pick in game 1 on blue side for Gamers for God. It looks like it is going to be available unless Glaive decided to ban it out here third.
So okay. Go with the Camille, same ban as game 1.
Ezreal's up. Maybe they take Ezreal here. I don't think Ezreal's the strongest pick. Okay, but it will be Ezreal.
They do. In. Yeah, and you know what? The Ezreal did look good game 1. Glaive went with the jungle pick in the Nocturne here, but since that's off the table, Xin Zhao is available. Please stop hovering enchanters. I still have nightmares from last week when we saw triple enchanters. Oh thank goodness, it's Xin Zhao. Well, it doesn't preclude, I guess, them picking triple enchanters. If you pick the Xin Zhao, that's technically the best pairing.
Yeah, I mean, Nocturne taken away, go one peg down, Xin Zhao's right there. I mean, not as much global pressure as the Nocturne, but still same play style as the Nocturne. Extremely strong early dueling, early skirmishing, early ganking. Can really have similar effects where you can kind of show up to a lane repeatedly and help that lane just get monstrously ahead and take over. And Xin Zhao does have a decent power curve these days into the mid-late game, so I really like the Xin Zhao Thresh. And Set Morgana being picked up for Gamers for God. I'm not convinced. I'm not really sure.
Okay, so Morgana was a jungler for an ungodly amount of time. I hated the idea of Morgana jungle, but she did it. Then she got nerfed a little bit, not to the point of oblivion, just not the fastest clear speed. Dumpstered is one of the few, if not the only jungler I know of actually currently, that still plays Morgana jungle frequently. So this could still be a Morgana jungle, and I don't feel great about it. JVL, thoughts?
Yeah, initially, I don't like it at all. But when in the match that we played, that Lotus played against Gamers for God in our the first match of the series, the closest match, he did play Morgana jungle, and he did fairly well, better than I thought a Morgana jungle would work at this point after being nerfed and kind of taken out of the jungle. So maybe we do see Morgana put back into the jungle. Morgana is also the notorious on paper Thresh counter, so maybe it's Black Shield the hook. But I honestly think that you're right. I think we will see the Morgana put into the jungle. Karma is still available even after all of these second rotation bans. So Karma Ezreal, if you look back to game 1, the Ezreal Karma was doing perfectly fine in the laning phase. So maybe we'll see that picked up again. And Jhin being picked up for Glaive. Now, I love Jhin, so
yeah, and I'm really excited. It with Thresh, especially because your hook potential, the CC change, the safety for Jhin as well here. My only concern is into the Ezreal. It can be a little difficult for Jhin to actually get in range to trade well with that Ezreal. And it does look like it's going to be a Morgana jungle as Leona being hovered here. Are they going to switch
Not Bard.
They locked it in. JBL, Gamers for God. You know what? They can't give you everything there. They'll give you the Nocturne ban, but they're also going to give you the bar.
One step at a time, yeah. I mean, this is game 3. This is really, it comes down to this for Gamers for God. They need a win, and they know their own champ pools better than mine. Maybe Bard is just the comfort pick for the support. Maybe they're reaching really deep into the hat now, and Bard is the answer. And Viego actually being picked up. Viego, we haven't seen in either of these drafts, and it's kind of gone through unnoticed the entire time. But finally, we see Viego being picked up. So this is definitely a good different look here for Gamers for God in game 3.
Yeah, Gamers for God has not played it whatsoever this split, so I actually wasn't sure it's in their champ pool. There's an interesting stat here about Blaze's Bard. He has played it before. And Bard is one of those huge playmaking supports. The ultimate can just really mess things up. But Blaze is currently 0 for 3 in X1C Heavy with the Bard. He hasn't won a single game.
Well, 4th time's a charm maybe here for Gamers for God. LeBlanc being picked up here again for Glaive, and another melee a bruiser-esque laner into the LeBlanc. And if if McShootums wants to repeat game one, I mean, he can very easily kind of do the same blueprint as game one, camp the Viego, get LeBlanc ahead, shut down the Viego at the same time. And I mean, I hope Gamers for God can really bring it back this game three. But like Finnick was saying, it's so hard to keep your mental together when you're the underdog coming into quarterfinals. You get kind of stomped the first two games, and it really comes down to this. The pressure's on, so I hope they turn it around.
I at least appreciate their willingness to try things. And I do think the Viego LeBlanc lane will be quite different from the Irelia LeBlanc lane. I think Viego has a much easier sort of on-demand stun. When you see the sword coming in, you can try and match with the stun a little bit, trade back and forth. The execute Heartbreaker, I think, is not for the ability that you can, not for the possibility that you can steal people's souls, but just the ultimate execute damage is what makes me personally hate to play against a Viego, just because if you're ever low, he just starts to pop off as well. And for Glaive, McShootums not on the Nocturne this time. Granted, Sintao is still a very strong jungler, but won't have the ease of access here to get into fights. So, you know, we talked a lot about the individual picks. Compositionally, what do you think the goals for both of these teams are? Where's their power spike, and what's sort of the win cons here for the teams?
Yeah, for Gamers for God, I definitely want to see attention towards the mid lane. Do not let Puffles get fed on this LeBlanc again and get Solo C ahead on this Viego, because if we're looking at Glaive's comp, they don't have any true frontline. Thresh, and not really a true frontline. Zinzao, and Bruiser. So if Viego can end up getting maybe a little bit ahead, end up in these team fights, getting some resets, he can really take over fights. And Glaive also is somewhat, I say somewhat because they have a lot of bursts, but they're lacking DPS overall. Jhin is not notoriously a high DPS ADC. He has bursts, but he doesn't have a lot of DPS throughout the fight. Gangplank, I guess, is more of a DPS top laner. Xin, I mean, not really looking for his damage in team fights. And LeBlanc is a lot of burst as well. So if Set can get tanky enough and Ezreal can work towards, you know, maybe getting an frozen heart or something along where he gets a little bit more tanky and he can survive some of this burst, then I do think Glaive might have some work cut out for them in actually pulling off these kills. But if they get ahead, then their burst is going to be easily enough to take out Gamers for God.
JVL, I am kind of sorry, not sorry for what I'm about to tell you here. Remember we talked about Morgana as a Thresh counter?
Yeah.
How do you feel about Morgana as a LeBlanc counter?
I actually really like it. Morgana when Morgana in the past wasn't viable in the mid lane, she was somewhat of a LeBlanc counter because Black Shield it can deny her chains. LeBlanc has to come in a very telegraphed direction with her W, so it's easier to throw the binding out if LeBlanc is coming at you. And I mean, if Gamers for God are looking for a change, then this is the spice that they need to turn this around.
It is confirmed, JBL. The timers run down. Solo C is taking the Morg into the mid lane, Viego into the jungle. So, you know, you said that one of the big things is making sure Puffles doesn't pop off in the block. They just picked a hard counter. They put Viego in the jungle to give it a safer laning phase. I know I'm excited. I actually used to main Morg back through seasons 1 through 4. You can tell that's why I'm a caster and not a pro player. But, you know, does this... As excited as I am, JVL, does this change the win conditions for the team for you here, or do you think it's still the same old, you know, still trying to keep Puffles down and still trying to get, you know, Saucy to a tanky point and Viego to a carry point?
Yeah, I think the win conditions are pretty much the same, but I do think that this change for Gamers for God makes their win condition a little bit easier because Morgana will have an easier time shutting down the LeBlanc than the Viego. Viego in the jungle, the recent changes that they did make him much more effective in the jungle with his E now. His movement speed is really, really insane, so he can get around the map really fast. And I'm excited. I mean, Gamers for God, they know that they needed to change something up, and this is a possible change that could pay off for them.
Okay, we've run down the drafts, we've run down the matchups here, and JVL, I've only got one question left for you here. Are you a believer in Gamers for God?
I think that Gamers for God can win this game. I really do.
I'm with you, buddy. I mean, Gamers for God has to win this game.
Yeah,
or they're
there's
out
no
of
other
playoff.
option.
So, as a caster, I always wish for the full 5 games. I do not get paid by the game, sadly, but I do enjoy watching the matchups. So, Gamers for God, you've got the hope of the casters, but Glaive, they're looking to put a clean 3-0. Like Phoenix said, they've been struggling a little bit towards the end of the regular season, and they want to keep their momentum up. We are going to take a short break before we head on to Summoner's Rift to find the exciting conclusion here of whether Gamers for God can pull off a miracle and stay in the game, or will Glaive 3-0 close the book, done and shut, fast and easy tonight. Stick around. It won't be long till we find out.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Excellency Heavy League quarterfinal matchup between Gamers for God and Glaive Onyx. My name is Finnick, as always, joined on the desk by Randoming and Caster. And game number 3, after 2 dominant victories from Glaive Onyx, we'll see if they're able to close this one out. However, I do have to deal with Dumpster in the jungle on that Viego pickup in the position he was originally intended to be played in and not in the solo lane.
And I do like the change up. I mean, you heard JVL explaining why the Morgan to LeBlanc is such a good matchup. And considering what we saw in game 1, the fact that Puffles was the one who popped off and won what, like 10, 11, 12 and 1, like fully stacked Magi and all that. Shutting down Puffles and not giving up kills, I feel like, is a very solid early game plan. You get Saucy ahead, you get him tanky where he can't get burst down, and hell, we saw Josh on this Ezreal in game 1 really pump out the damage as well. So this is, I think, the first draft we've seen from Gamers for God where I'm like, okay, I actually think this is a pretty good draft for them.
Yeah, I think they've definitely shored up some of their draft weaknesses, and they're also not playing against a Nocturne, but the Xin Zhao is still going to be something to take care of, because McShootums has been so aggressive, even on that Nocturne, ganking pre-6 into these solo lanes, and if he does the same thing again, this can spell disaster, as Viego doesn't nearly have the same speed and gank timing as the Xin Zhao does.
And for the side of Dumpster here, you're not looking to gank your lanes. You actually have pretty strong independent lanes. Giga on this gank flank, we've seen it before. It doesn't take over the early game. Morgana should be fairly safe as well. Even into a Xin Zhao, the Black Shield won't block the damage, but it will block the sort of slow application there. So you can just kind of walk away, and actually does block the damage from Audacious Charge, so not from the others though. And the bot lane, Ezreal, again, super safe. We saw it in game 1. It really wasn't the issue. So if there was ever a game for a weaker jungler for Dumpster, this is it.
Yeah, also Blase on the Bard. This is a support that needs to roam to be effective, especially in the early game. So we'll see how much Blase is able to make things happen around that mid lane with Solo and Dumpster. But as you kind of mentioned, this is not a pick that's, even though it's a pick that he's comfortable with and he plays a lot in solo queue, this is not a pick he's done very well on in Excellency Heavy League. We'll see if he's able to turn his fortunes around this game, though, as early CS lead actually going in favor of the Jhin Thresh lane.
And it's somewhat expected, unfortunately. Against the Jhin, Jhin is very strong in the early game. Yes, he lacks a little bit of sustained damage, but the burst against an Ezreal and Bard, that chunks a lot because they're both kind of squishy and their range isn't exactly great other than the Mystic shots. McShootums, like we said, looking for those early ganks, peaked mid, but the ward stopped him for now, and he can just rotate to this bot side. There's a ward in the tri-bush here, and it's not exactly the best dive positioning here. The wave is pushing out, though, and McShootums has made it into the first bush.
Yeah, so the lane gank setup is real. McShootums, obviously, he's in Zhao. He wants to get kills or assists early on. The flash flay into the hook.
Ooh.
Magical Journey away is Blase. McShootums is back on a Josh. Flash follow-up. He's exhausted up. Now might be in trouble. Has to get the Summoner heal from his AD carry. And he still gets taken down by Blase's auto attack. And the Q lands on a Jado as well. Meanwhile, Saucy and Dumpster are looking for Giga. He flashes away from the Haymaker, but the flash follow-up comes in from Dumpster. Giga down to 300 health. He should be able to make his way away.
Huge win for Gamers for God here in multiple lanes. Flash blown from Giga means that's regankable. And Josh and Blase might have burnt every single summoner, but they got first blood. And on a Bard, I'm okay with that because Bard can pack the damage as well. So it's not the end of the world. It is definitely usable. And we'll have to see if they can turn things
Dumpster in trouble top side, though. No, Barrel
What the vault?
McShootums is here
TP?
alongside Giga, caught up by GPQ. We see the TP coming in from Puffles. Does not have level 6,
he
so
missed
can't
the
double distortion away. It gets face breakered. This is a missed TP from Puffles. This is not the clean style of play that we saw from Glaive in the first 2 games of the series.
Do you believe, Finnick? JVL and I believe, and right now, Gamers for God, this is the best early game they've had. They are up in gold right now. They're up in terms of pressure, and
Puffles, though, on a solo. Spell shielded away. McShootums is here.
Pop up the shield.
Finally gets the shield down.
Ooh,
Dark
missed the
Binding
binding.
misses. Now on the Tormented Soil.
Where's he going?
I will continue to call that ability Tormented Soil, by the way, no matter what its new name is.
He actually got up. Forget the Tormented Soil or Shadow. Solo just played Ring Around the Rosie and wasn't punished for it. Dumpstered came up as well as Blase to back them out. And Gamers for God, you're getting away with murder right now. Tupper had better watch out as well because Dumpstered and Blase are on the roam.
Stun lands on to Tupper. Dumpster, though, obviously does not have the ult, so no mobility for him. As Tupper is able to make his way out. Gets a nice stun down.
Joshi, unfortunately, back there. So there was no backup from Dumpster, or they might have been able to look for something here. Blase taking the safe way home, the magical journey home, but that is going to give up all the pressure around this dragon, this Ocean Drake, which is so impactful early on in the lanes when you're trading, and there's no vision whatsoever. Yes, there's a ward, but the control ward is suppressing it right now. So clean take from Glaive.
Indeed it is. And also, in the meantime, with all that kerfuffle that happened in the mid lane, Solo is now 8 CS down on Puffles. So Puffles is starting to gain the lead for himself in the lane that Morgana should be able to neutralize fairly effectively.
That's one of the reasons why Morgana mid kind of went out of favor a little bit. The Tormented Shadow, farming with it is a little bit harder than it used to be. And with the wave clear, or with the ability to disrupt the positioning of the wave that a lot of mid laners have now, you can't just kind of drop the W, walk away, and watch it auto farm. So not surprising they're falling behind a little bit. More worrying to me, though, is the fact that Giga got punished a little bit early, was kind of bullied out a lane a little bit by the set, and he's already back even in CS, coming back into this lane. Unless Saucy teleports here, Giga's going to start finding himself a lead once again.
Well, as Saucy TPs, it might be trouble as Magical Journey gets used. Jado in trouble, tries to get a fly away. Joshi, though, he might fall. Tupper gets the kill. Actually, Jado with the kill credit. Blase, though, he's able to get the stun onto Tupper. It'll be a trade of 80 carries in the bot lane, and Dumpster gets a reset.
Dark Passage expired right before Joshi could get there. Sadly for Giga, though, no assist in the top lane from that Cannon Barrage. And when you trade 80 carries like that, you're going to be fine with it. Yes, Joshi went down first and didn't kill Tupper, but Dumpster got it. And if we're looking at skilling conditions, Dumpster and Joshi, those are the guys who are going to be carrying in the late game here. So getting kills on either of them is worth it.
Solo and Blase playing towards this mid lane. They're going to try to keep Dragon Vision up as Dragon Soul win condition still very strong. 3 minutes 20 seconds on the next dragon, and will be either an Infernal or a Cloud Soul this game.
Maybe roams up from Jado here, looking to see what he can find.
Dumpster's caught out in his own jungle. He doesn't know Giga and McShootums are here. Tries to go into the mist. He's got level 6. Should be able to dash away. He does. But here comes McShootums and Giga. And now Dumpster flayed back by Jado. McShootums picks up the kill onto Dumpster.
No response here, and that comes from that roam from Jado that we were talking about, the way he's able to move out first. Blase's on the Bard, and you're getting out-roamed by the Thresh right now. That's not what you want to see, and it reflects in their boots choice as well. Blase taking that plated steel cap for the lane here, whereas Jado just flat out took the mobility boots, is willing to sack the lane if he has to, but he doesn't have to because Tupper is just winning this, or comfortably farming this at any rate, in a 1v2.
Indeed, he is, and yeah, no, Jin's not really an 80 carry that I would consider as safe as Ezreal. Maybe they should try to make something happen when Jado's not there, you know. Maybe a little bit of a missed opportunity for this Ezreal Bard lane, as Jado's made his way back in. Jado does not have 6. They do have Tempered Fate available.
You see the roam coming out of Puffles as well, and instantly the MIA pings coming down as well. They're very aware, and despite the fact that Puffles is up significantly in CS at this point here, they're doing a very good job of localizing the damage from this LeBlanc here. I'm very curious to see what happens if we do see a gank into the mid lane. The distorts have been used very aggressively from Puffles. I think there's an opportunity here actually for Dumpster to maybe look for this mid lane, especially once that Heartbreaker is up and available.
Giga, though, starting to make a CS lead for himself in the top lane. This is what happened in game number 1, although without the TP to help. Jado has to flash out of the way, but here comes McShoot'em, so has the ultimate himself as the curtains get called. Solo making his way down as well. Puffles is in the wings with the double distortion available if he chooses to use it, but decides against it and just takes the blue buff.
Ooh, things got tense for a second there, and I was very worried for Gamers for God specifically, Finnick, because of the vision. Tupper alone again here, but doesn't get stunned.
No, but he does get a root on a Joshi. Very nicely done by Tupper to stay alive there. As here comes McShoot'em. He's fighting with Dumpster in the river. 1v1 does favor the Zinzao at this point, but here comes Blase. Should be able to look for a stun, but Jado's here as well. Has a dark passage, looks for the hook, unable to find it as the flash comes out of the way. Zinzao pops the ultimate. Here comes the Tempered Fate, but it's a swing and a miss as TPs get channeled. Blase is around. McShoot'em's, though, caught in the face breaker, should get caught in a showstopper as well, but Dumpster actually gets the reset. And now Dumpster should look for Jado. There's the showstopper on to Jado. Dumpster going in. Jado goes golden, but they're able to get a double kill. This one on the Puffles. Holds up. Is this? Do we have the faith? Is the faith coming back?
Oh, ye of little faith, Finnick. I told you, you gotta believe here. Solo TPing up as well to catch the wave. Gamers for God lose nothing on this play. They get prio on the dragon as it spawns as well. And more importantly, Dumpster got the double kill. He's now 3-1 in kills and assists. He's starting to come online. And sure, McShoot'ems might have had the experience lead, might have been able to win that particular one-on-one, but where's skill? And Viego will beat Sinjao late.
Rift Herald gets summoned. McShoot'em, though, he's looking for the smite fight on to Dumpster. Looks for the knockup, can't find it as a Dumpster still gets the smite away. Now rooted up by the chat. And the Jin gets the kill. Cloud Soul on the Rift. Blase, though, in trouble. McShoot'em dashes forward and gets the kill.
Want to highlight Blase flashed in to create the magical journey out for Dumpster. That is what a good support should do. Unfortunately, it didn't matter. And he ended up giving an extra kill.
Yeah, flashes away from Saucy meanwhile.
They're fine. I mean, nobody's even looking top lane right now. The junglers are all about the bot lane right now, and I'm loving it.
It's like that Simon and Garfunkel song, right? I am a rock. I am an island. No.
Just gonna let that sit, Finnick.
What? You're telling me you've never listened to I'm a Rock by Simon and Garfunkel?
Nope, I have not. And, yep, there's no Malphite. So, if no Malphite, no rock. Solo getting ganked, but it's a Morgana.
It's the top lane island, though, is what it is.
We're talking islands, Finnick. My taste in music leans more towards Lonely Island.
Well, I mean, I like Lonely Island, too. I'm just saying, like Simon and Garfunkel, classic folk singers.
Nice
good stuff.
Meanwhile, we did see attention into the mid lane. I'm not even going to grace this top lane with any commentary whatsoever until we see anybody else up there. McShoot'ems is heading up, so maybe now, Finnick, you might get to talk about this.
Well, he gets a nice barrel on the Saucy. Saucy's slowed up. Here comes McShoot'ems. Has the dash available. Saucy does not have a mobility ability, but he does get a nice face breaker. Still getting taken down. Gets a haymaker to stay alive, and McShoot'ems unable to get the kill to connect, but here comes Puffles, and he has double distortion.
No.
Easy kill for Puffles.
Is this the beginning of the end? Bot
goes
side
bot,
action
though.
as
He's
well?
got the miss. Tupper going to get the lantern out of the way as the box gets blasted. Blase going to be taken down very low, but he's still able to get the kill on a Jado, and that's a reset. Now looks for Tupper. Flash forward, gets a second ultimate off, but it's taken down. Oh, no. You dove a little too far with the Viego. Too close to the sun. Icarus is not happy with that one. And Giga gets first tower.
Oh, everything's falling apart. Puffles finding a kill. Giga getting the turrets. Dumpster dying in the bot lane. Everything just went Glaive's way. The good news, however, is that Josh just gets to free push this bot lane right now, getting a lot of answering damage on this bot lane turret. He won't be able to take it, and his own turret's low. So we'll have to see what happens. To me, that just signals that both teams probably going to see more action in the bot lane, Finnick.
You know, Gamers for God at least is having looks this game, which is something that they were severely missing in the first 2 games of the series. As I say, that root lands on to solo. Here comes Dumpster for McShootums. And they actually have a win condition that they can play towards this game. Which is something that going into this game, I didn't even expect this Viego to start getting ahead, to be honest. I thought, mental boom. But they're showing the mental fortitude and coming back into the series, maybe. It'll be a tough one, though. They are 4,000 gold down at the 15-minute mark.
It really doesn't feel like they're down, 3,500, 4,000 gold right now. It's just superior laning for the most part, coming through from Giga and Puffles. They're able to find themselves CS because the kill scores dead even. The dragons are dead even. It's just the CS and the turrets. And that's just how Glaive has been playing for the most part here. If you're not punishing them, they'll find ways to stay relevant. And for Gamers for God, they don't get to see these numbers that we as spectators get to see. They might not know that they're falling behind right now. And for that matter, Glaive might not know it. And we'll have to see if it plays into this, whether they start to slow down, whether they start playing a bit more carefully.
Blase, magical journey on to Jado, gets the stun up against the wall. Tupper is here. Flash out from Jado. He gets the dark passage, tempered fate. So gonna miss as Tupper makes his way out, but here comes the ult in from the Viego, but he's under tower and he still gets taken down to sight, getting the reset onto the enemy AD carry. Flash forward from Joshi though, as he gets the kill onto Jado. 2 for 1 for Gamers for God, and they still have a look on them, and it's coming off a Dumpstered.
Yeah, they do have to be careful, though, as we do see McShootums and Puffles coming down. They spotted out McShootums. Solo needs to start running now. You do not want to stick around here.
And Dumpster versus McShootums was one of the featured matchups we had in the fight cards from today's pre-show, right? And here, we're seeing both junglers kind of duking it out. Dumpster in the best form he's been in all series. Puffles and McShootums should be able to get the kill on the solo, but a nice blast cone. Second distortion comes in, though, and the Sigil to pick up the kill.
Dumpster, this is not safe. You just
Dumpster,
saw Solo
careful!
go down.
No! Miss away, flash in, and McShootums gets the kill.
You just can't do that, right? You saw Solo go down. You know Puffles and McShootums are in the area. And granted, you were 5 and 4 before that, which is pseudo-fed, but you've also died a lot and you're still very squishy. Not to mention, you're the jungler. Now that Dumpster is down, that's a free dragon going over the way of Glaive here. It's a Cloud Drake, not the most impactful, especially when you look at the ultimates that they have here. The Crescent Guard, not the most impactful. Mimic Distortion, though, I feel like, despite the short cooldown, is actually going to be one of the ultimates that enjoys the most benefit.
Magical Journey, not going to be taken. In fact, McShootums preempts Blaze. As Blase finally makes his way out. Cannon Barrage, though, nearly seals the fate of Blase, but he doesn't go down. Finally does. McShootums in trouble, though. He's popped the ultimate as the curtains get called. It's a reset on the Viego as Puffles MIA is on the side of the fight. Tupper, though, is getting dove on by Saucy. Takes a nice dark package out of the way as Puffles goes down to the Ezreal of Joshi. That's a reset on Dumpster. Dumpstered. Now looking for Jado, but he is going to get hooked up. Now Jado goes down. It's a 3 for 1 and a double kill. Make that 4 for 1 and a double kill for Joshi.
Gamers for God will not go quietly into the night here. We wanted to see more from Saucy, pardon me, not from Joshi. Joshi's been doing great. And Saucy coming in from that angle with that teleport was huge, instrumental in making sure they could follow up that fight here. JVL didn't know who he was before this game, but I think JVL is going to be paying attention now.
He's still 30 CS down on Giga, and gold-wise, he's still losing, unfortunately. But this is a better look on the set than it was from game number 1, which once again speaks to the fact that they actually have more mental fortitude than I was giving them credit for after game number 2. And the fact that, they're able to look for things. They have the win condition Dumpster. Now it's kind of swapped over to Joshi. They have Joshi as an actually ahead 80 carry over a Jhin. And Ezreal outscales Jhin in the late game.
Herald picked up by Gamers for God there, but their mid lane turret's under siege right now. And it's probably going to go down. They don't have... Without Saucy here, it's actually very difficult for them to try and do anything because they don't have a tank. And with a Jhin and a LeBlanc and, well, even the Gangplank on the other side there's a lot of burst potential coming out on all these squishy members.
Saucy, though, he's maybe in a 1v2, but Dumpstered is around. Again, McShootums just toying with Gamers for God at the moment, toying with the Vision. 2 minutes 30 until the next dragon spawns.
I think vision right now, Finnick, is absolutely key in this particular game. You can see how respectful they're being on the top side there. McShootums not looking to force that gank because they don't know who else is in the top area. Gamers for God have managed to choke out most of the vision there. Whereas on the bot side of the map, that is completely the opposite. Glaive have all the vision they need to be able to play aggressively, to allow Puffles to push out that far solo here, along with the escape tools, of course, that LeBlanc has. They can continue to apply pressure, and Gamers for God, they're not in a rush. Yes, Baron's up, but as long as you've got eyes on Baron, you're okay. I don't think they meant to pop that blast cone, and I think they'll be waiting to play around more for the Dragon, as neither team has enough damage right now to try and sneak away the Baron.
Shadow got quite a bit of vision control of the enemy's jungle, but it is being cleared away. So I should try to move in with his mid laner and jungler soon as they take the Rift Scuttler. The bottom side of the map. As you mentioned, this Vision game, very contentious. And Vision lines haven't actually pushed that far beyond the river from either of these teams quite yet. Ever so cautious are both the teams playing, even though Glaive has a 3,000 gold lead, they're playing like they're even.
And that's because they can't see this gold. I need to see Saucy start moving now, though. He doesn't have teleport available, and Giga does. So if Glaive were to try and force a fight at Dragon, when it comes up in a minute, they'll be in trouble. Actually, forget Dragon. They're on Baron. I don't know if this is the right call. They don't have damage. Cannon Barrage being called down early, though.
Yeah, they spot it out and they peel away. McShootums, though, a little bit far forward. He has to know something's up. And I've not seen a single Tempered Fate hit, and all of them have been dodges. It's just so unfortunate for Blase. Every single one has been dodged out of the way. McShootums, though, maybe in trouble from Blase. Everyone's taking the magical journey over. McShootums rooted up by the Morgana. Now plus the ultimate, dashing back in as the curtains get called. McShootums goes down. Dumpster with a reset. Blase goes down very low, but he's not dead quite yet. As Puffles finds the flank into the back line, it's 1-for-1. Here comes Dumpster, though. He's looking for Jado. In comes the set. Double kill. Another reset for the Viego. And Tupper and Puffles are now against the world. Here comes Puffles. But Saucy's able to get a nice haymaker as a triple kill lands for Dumpstered. And now it might be a quadra. Puffles, distortions away. Distortions back. Quadra kill for Dumpstered on the Viego. This is what we've been waiting for.
It was the dumpster fire last game, but this time Dumpster is on fire here. Giga barely alive. And more importantly, Giga can't stop the Baron alone here. He's got flash, but it's not safe for him to do this. And with the Blade of the Ruined King passive on Dumpster here, they're going to be able to shred Baron. Giga, you're in vision. And Blase's coming up from behind.
He's got a nice barrel, though. Trying to dissuade it, but still goes down. Giga in trouble from Blase. Has to flash out of the way, but to get the hook onto the enemy Morgana. Solo has to flash. It's getting out of the way. Root has landed on a McShootums. Magical journey away.
Finnick, again I ask you, do you believe now? Gamers forgot they're still down in gold, but with the Baron, they can just push in. Glaive trying to respond with this Dragon. That's all well and nice, but this isn't last game. I don't care if you get Cloud Soul here. It's not that important. And if you're down here, you're not up top, stopping Saucy from pushing in.
We'll see at the next Dragon how much stock Gamers for God puts into it, really. Because they could just seed it. They could say, hey, we care about Barons more, we care about Elder more. And we don't really care about this soul, right? The movement speed, nice on the LeBlanc, nice on McShootums, not amazing on anyone else. I mean, literally, Cloud Soul is the worst soul for Jhin, and it's not even close because it's like you're stuck in place for your ultimate. Like, what does the movement speed do to you? Nothing.
I mean, there's plus 10 base movement speed, I guess.
It's the worst soul for Jhin. Hook lands topside onto Saucy. Giga with a barrel, though. Play on a Saucy. Counter barrage used. Saucy flashes away. Here comes Joshy.
Tempered Fate?
And they get a Tempered Fate onto the tower, looking for the dive. Blase, though, he might be in trouble. He's tanking up the tower shots once again. Now Tupper, he got the 4 shot on the Blase, but now he's going to be stunned up by the Bard. Solo is here. Goes ahead and pops the chains himself. Now onto Tupper, finds the stun. Tupper goes down very low, finally falls to Solo. But meanwhile, on the backside, McShootums in the fight gets taken down, and Puffles unable to get the kill on the enemy jungler before the reset happens. Now Dumpstered looks for Jado. Can't find the kill quite yet. And it's 2 for 1 thus far. Gamers for God still winning the fight. But Puffles, he's sees the low health bars. He might look for a double distortion. He sees Dumpster. He wants this, but he can't do it.
I don't know if you actually get this at this point. It's so risky for Puffles here. You're not 10-1 like you were last game. Your Darksteel has 0 stacks here. It's like day and night. You don't do this. And Baron push finds an inner, but Glaive, despite losing multiple members, has done an admirable job burning through that Baron. There's only 30 seconds left, and because they based, that was the last push of the Baron power play.
Still a 2,000 gold lead for Gamers for God, their first meaningful gold lead of the entire series, and this is the do or die game for them, so it could not have come at a better time. Sterix Gage completed on Saucy. Look for him in the big engages, 2-1 and 7. Best he's looked all series, and Dumpstered best he's looked all series as well.
Gamers for God now need to continue pushing their advantages. They've done a great job so far. Blase getting caught here would not be a good start, though.
He gets a stun against the wall, though. Puffles MIA is here. Here comes Dumpster. McShootums spots the ultimate, but the curtains are getting called. The stun lands on 2 members, though, from the Bard. McShootums goes down. Dumpster is dominating with another reset. Saucy caught in the box. Can't make the follow-up engage happen. As a root lands from the Jhin. It's 1 for 0 thus far, but with the jungler down, this is a free jungle for Gamers for God to take.
There's no objectives on the map, so it feels like big fight. Where's the objective? You're looking to just push up a lane, and I'm actually surprised Giga didn't keep on pushing to try and answer here, is opting to base instead. So Gamers for God does manage to walk away with a prize at the end of the day here, that mid lane turret, to continue growing their tenuous lead.
They back out from the mid lane. Tenuous, I think, is the right word for it, but more so, it's tense. Because Glaive, they're not outright losing these fights the same way that they had been a couple minutes ago when Gamers for God were actually slightly behind in gold. Now, Gamers for God, almost 3,000 gold in the lead. They need to win these fights more definitively if they want to snowball this Viego and Ezreal to the end of the game.
What we've been seeing, Finnick, coming out from Glaive so far has not been sort of the coordinated burst that we need to see. It's not the barrels into a distort, into Tupper just free firing into a target, tank or not. It's kind of been McShootums going in, getting stunned up, and then Puffles looking for a good flank, looking for a pick potential, and then Tupper just kind of cutting on around on his own. They're not coordinated. And even then, they're pushing Gamers to God within inches of their lives. If they can find one more shot on Josh, if they find one more shot on Solo, if they can CC Dumpster, maybe that turns out different. But so far, it's been Saucy eating all of it, and that's exactly what Gamers for God wants. So until Gamers for God gets a 10k gold lead or finishes the Nexus, any fight could still be turned by Glaive here.
Indeed, it can be. Skiga, Cannon Barrage on the Saucy. They're once again using all their crowd control. They got the sun down, but he gets a Facebreaker on the 3 members. The shutdown finally goes over to Tupper. It would be an uneven fight to be taken, but meanwhile, on the bottom side of the map, Dragon spawning in 11 seconds, and this is going to be taken by Gamers for God.
He doesn't care. It's Cloud. Neither of these teams care. You're clearing it as fast as you can to get Elder on the board here. And Solo, you're not safe. No Black Shield.
Oh no, you can't do that one, Solo. McShootums picks up the kill. The Dragon goes down, but they're going to lose a T2 top side. And now the trade is not worth it for Gamers for God.
Okay. Glaive just pulled off the heist. They found 2 kills. They found a turret as well. The question is, can they get back out? Blase was looking to cut them off, but
they're back in the lead ever so slightly.
It takes 2 time.
You said it was you said it was a tenuous lead. It just flipped like that. And if they can kill Dumpster, that's 900 gold. Hopefully on a Tupper or Puffles. This is getting very dicey for Gamers for God because they didn't push the throttle when they had the lead. Instead, they played passively, and they're getting punished by Glaive.
I mean, they couldn't. Glaive has been dragging them around the map, and Gamers Forgot, you've got to respond to some of these threats here. Baron is on the table here, Finnick, and if we recall the last Baron, that's what put Gamers Forgot in the lead. They snuck it away in what I thought was incredibly risky, but they got it, and they got the turn as well. This time, Vision in the pit, Blase looking to clear, but I don't think that he's comfortable walking up without his buddies nearby.
Dumpstered in the mid lane. He is the player to watch in all of these fights. Viego being Viego. If he can get resets, he can win fights. Tempered Fate.
Jado.
That's the first player target. It's hit the entire game. Jado will fall. A reset for Dumpstered. He is going to be chunked out a little bit in his Thresh form. Ults over the wall to get away.
Okay, I mean, this is not the worst position to be in. They still do need to clear out the Baron pit on Puffles.
It's really dicey. Dumpster has a Wit's End as well. So Puffles is going to do even less damage to this Viego. McShootums in trouble, though. Distortion over the wall. McShootums pops the ultimate, but he still goes down super quickly. It is traded back, though, and the shutdown goes over to Tupper. It's a trade of junglers. No neutral objectives can be taken now. It's Puffles. Looks for Joshi, but Joshi goes golden. Puffles, though, looks for the root. Joshi pulls out of the way in the meantime as the respawn comes in from Jado. Giga's in trouble, though. Arcane shifted to Pawn as Blase makes a magical journey in onto Tupper. Can't find the stun.
Jado is here as well. The death sentence is available.
Death sentence. This one onto the enemy top laner, but that gives Puffles time to kill Solo. And Saucy, he flashes. He gets the showstopper. He's just trying to buy time, using that haymaker as well. And a Tempered Fate hits on a 2, but it's still a double kill for Puffles.
No, Josh.
Cannon barrage. Joshi has to make his way out.
They keep running, and this opens up the Baron for Glaive now, Finnick. It was Gamers taking it before to put them back in the game, and Glaive taking it here puts them back in the driver's seat. There's no way to stop them. Dumpstered can run up, but the success... Yes, you got to watch Dumpstered in these fights, but Saucy's been the one to tank things up, and without Saucy there, Dumpstered is getting zoned out by Puffles.
Yeah, and, even with that Wit's End, still can get bursted down quite a bit. But the burst this time around came from Tupper. He stepped too far forward into the Jhin, and despite getting the reset on the McShootums, it just was not enough. With this Baron to Glaive Onyx, they will now push for these inhibs. So they now have a 3k gold lead on themselves.
Okay, the last time we saw the Baron buff go on, Gamers Forgot barely managed to take 2 turrets before it wore out and did not manage to break the base. Glaive Onyx starting with a slightly higher starting point here. They've already got 4 turrets down. Top lane, inner turret down as well here. Can they break the base? Because I feel like if they do, they put themselves in a much better situation where they can threaten backdoors with the Gangplank, with the LeBlanc here. Solo?
Also on my A. On to Solo, just deletes him. Doesn't even need a Magize as he got the Void Staff and the Banshee's Veil. Dumpstered, though, looks for Puffles. Distortion away, goes the enemy mid laner as Tupper makes his way into this pit area. 57 seconds on the Dragon.
Shoot him still looking here. I mean, okay, they're fine. I just got to go back to Solo because it was just an instant, but that was black. That was through the black shield. You've got Leandri's demonic embrace. Leandri's doesn't even give you health. It's just the demonic embrace and the Kindle gem. And
where's the
still got
Zonias?
bursted through that.
Where's the Zonias?
He's got a stopwatch.
Oh, okay, yeah, now, but you should go Zonias before demonic embrace when you're up against a high burst comp like this. The demonic embrace is very greedy, even if you were in the lead.
I'm going to disagree on that one here specifically because it's Puffles killing him. If it's Giga, if it's Tupper, yeah. But Zonias, it don't give you health. It don't give you magic resist. And Solo right now, the problem is Puffles just killed an anti-magic mage. Morgana was designed to deal with these AP assassins.
Well, how the turntables, Puffles on the side, looks for Solo, finally gets the kill onto the Morgana once again as the curtains get called. Joshi able to make his way out, but Dumpstered ults in onto Tupper. Tupper might be in trouble. He's able to finally make his way out, though, with the lantern. And this is a jungler all alone. Dumpstered goes golden for good measure, but Giga picks up the kill. And they could go for the soul here, or they could go for inhibs.
Okay, no los dos. Go for both here. There's no way they can stop you. It's Saucy and Josh. They need Dumpster to really fight you here. And without the Black Shields, you're kind of squishy. There's 25 seconds left.
Distortion gets the GA out of Joshy, but he gets right back into a barrel and the death sentence. Shut down for Tupper.
Oh no!
And Glaive.
It's this game?
Yeah, Glaive looked like they might have met their match for the first time this series, but they stay calm to come back into it. A mental fortitude that we were talking about, so instrumental to Glaive at the moment. Won't be able to get the ending push off of this. They will need to respect these respawn timers, but they get a mid-in hit and probably a bot one as well.
One last fight potentially here. They should wait for the Ezreal. You can't fight without them. But
Puffles distortion once again. Solo goes down to Giga's Cannon Barrage. That is a dead mid laner. They don't have an ADC for another 14 seconds. A defensive use of the Tempered Fate to save one of the towers as McShootums. Puffles is actually in trouble. In comes the showstopper. Puffles stays alive just in the nick of time as Dumpster falls. Puffles is fine. And that is a 3-4-0 thus far. Dumpster DCs. It's the season ender for Gamers for God. Glaive Onyx go on to the semifinals.
Oh my goodness, Finnick. What a way to end the night. Yes, it's a 3-0 coming through from Glaive. And you know what? The analyst desk called it a start to finish here. Every single analyst said that it was going to be a Glaive 3-0. But by golly, if Gamers for God did not try and break that, the game 3 was the closest by far. And I just wish, Finnick, that they had played this way earlier. I think if they did, maybe they could have they might have been able to turn things around. They looked so good here in game 3.
And I think Dumpster actually looked very good that game on the Viego. I'm now wondering why they didn't pick this earlier, because when they had the lead, yes, they didn't take the driver's seat completely and that late Glaive back into this game. But it was off the back of Dumpster playing out of his mind, quite frankly, in this early stages of the game, especially compared to the first 2 games of the series.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. I mean, we've not seen it before, and they kind of left it all the way to the very end here, and just regrets. Unfortunately, you don't get a second try when you pull it out in game 3. It's kind of too late to do that. My heart goes out to Gamers for God. I had faith, I had belief here, and unfortunately, it just didn't pan out.
But it's time for a little bit of analysis there. JVL and Random Minion Caster, take it away. But remember, we will have an interview with the victorious mid laner after that analyst desk section.
Okay, and we're back once again with JVL. My fellow believer in Gamers for God here. I know game 2 you didn't have much to say, but I feel like game 3, it was a close one. You should have some feedback on this one, right, JVL?
Yeah, I mean, it was super close. I mean, we saw Gamers for God finally adjusted in draft. They didn't let the Nocturne through. And we saw Glaive without having like the ease of execution with the Nocturne and pressing R comps. They did struggle in the mid game and even in the early game to really get things going for them. And the Viego win con actually was panning out for Gamers for God early to mid game. Ultimately, unfortunately, they were not able to pull it through. But man, they looked so much better in this game than they did in the first 2.
And actually, for you, the winner of this particular matchup does make a difference, because if it had been Gamers for God somehow pulling the reverse sweep, you wouldn't be facing them. But because it's Glaive coming in, you're actually going to be facing them. You know, as a bit of a preview, what are your thoughts on their performance tonight? Trash talk allowed.
Okay. I mean, I'm not going to trash talk Glaive too much because obviously they 3-0'd. They looked decent. I think against higher tier teams, Glaive do not look nearly as dominant. I mean, in the regular split, they failed to win against any of the top 4 teams, I believe, in the league, 3 or 4. Yep. So I'm honestly not too worried going into next week against Glaive, but I mean, I'm happy for them to be able to pull off the 3-0 tonight.
Okay, and you know what? Like when we're looking here, I know that me and Finnick, we were thinking, MVPs between McShootums and Puffles. Your thoughts, JVL, who do you think performed best on Glaive tonight in the 3-0 series?
Yeah, I think Puffles definitely. At the end of the series, especially on the third game of LeBlanc, he wasn't spoon-fed this game. He kind of he did it for himself. And yeah, I mean, Puffles played pretty well every game. So I think as far as standout players, it's Puffles or McShootums, but Puffles, I think, takes it.
Fair enough. I think Finnick and I would agree with that. I will say, though, in this game, Puffles did not actually do the most damage. He did about 26,500 damage. Giga out-damaged him. Sorry, Giga. I mean, you're pumping out the numbers, but it ain't flashy. It ain't Yorick. It ain't Hellbreaker. I'm not sold. That said, JBL, thanks for coming on for tonight. Your insight has been blessed, to say the least here. Any last words before we head off to the interview from you here?
Thank you so much for having me today. It was a lot of fun being able to analyze these games with you and watch. I'm surprised both of the quarterfinals were 3-0s actually, but
already?
Yeah. AoE, Sparta Prime just 3-0'd AoE.
Wow.
So yeah.
Okay. I mean, that should be an interesting semis here. Well, thanks, JVL, for dropping by. Really do appreciate it. We'll be seeing you next week on stream. You got a bit of a break since you came on to do some analyst work for us here, and I'm very much looking forward to what you can pull off next week here.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and with that, we will be pulling in Puffles, our MVP.